So for some reason, I've been actively waiting for season 3 of this show, and yeah, here we are finally. If you need a recap on season 2, I do have the full season 2 recap linked, and for this video, I don't want to do a full scene-by-scene recap of the first 2 episodes. I just kind of want to talk about it, like do a bit of a post-mortem, because I have a couple of things I need to get off my chest, and yeah. So first thing you need to know is that most of it anyway takes place 3 years into uni, so there's a little bit of a time jump. So first, Steven and Taylor. They're no longer in a relationship, but they're not even close to being done with one another, which would be really cute. And it is cute, except for the fact that they're seeing other people. Steven has a whole girlfriend named Maya, and Taylor is dating some frat guy who honestly seems to be her type, but obviously he's not, because she can't seem to stay away from Steven. So they're in a cheating friends with benefits situation. It's dodgy, I know, and I wish they would have dropped the whole cheating part of this storyline, because I love a friends with benefits who want more but can't admit it, mixed in with a second chance romance trope. You know, I have rarely met a romance cliche that I didn't love. What can I say? Anyway, so they start out sort of hiding it from everybody because they are cheating, but people catch on really quickly. So in episode 1, we don't really get to find out why they broke up, but going by what Taylor says, this is when they really work out, when there's no drama, no strings, and for some reason they just didn't work out as a couple. Steven is still a guy in love. Like, he is throwing pebbles at her window so that she can come out and, you know, he could just look at her face. Taylor very clearly still has strong feelings for Steven as well. She's just better at controlling it, but also she's not really, because she breaks all of her own boundary rules. So they tease each other about any potential jealousies the other might have about their prospective partners, and somehow their teasing just works, mostly because Steven ends up folding and Taylor lets him. They're both kind of in on whatever this thing's going on, but you know, the clock is ticking on this. You know it's not going to end well. So anyway, there's this really great moment where Steven spends the night, and it's something that they don't usually do together, and the next morning Taylor instinctively reaches for him on the other side of the bed, but it's empty, but obviously he is still there on the other side with a breakfast hot pocket and coffee, and they have some cozy little morning chats and light flirts while she gets ready to go to some sorority thing. Steven, by the way, has graduated with honors from Princeton. Did he graduate early? Maybe. Anyway, he's doing this finance internship at some firm, and he has a lot of banter with his senior associate, and while they're not flirting exactly, I don't know, I hope they're not setting them up for something later on at some point. Anyway, by the end of episode 1, there's no resolution between these two. Taylor and Steven, I mean, which is fine. As for Billy and Jer, oh goodness. Okay, so they're 3 years into dating, and I'm hoping for them that it was a blissful 3 years, because what they're showing on screen now of their relationship, Billy's not beating the, oh, let me give poor Jer a chance while I try believe that it's over with Conrad allegations. I always feel bad because of how hard she tries with Jer, and it's as though the moment they went from being best friends to in a relationship, something special was lost. That spark that they had was lost a little bit. And to be fair, they have been in a relationship for 3 years. They have grown up. You know, life happens. They can't be romantic and playful all the time. But I don't know, they just don't really even seem at ease with each other, even during the quieter moments. I can't tell that if it's kind of like poor acting or if this is intentional, like those weird vibes between them. Anyway, I also have this feeling that Billy is always like making sure that Jer is okay the whole time, and that's fine and everything, but something still felt off about it until like Billy mentions later that she had promised Susanna that she'd always look out for the boys, and then it just kind of clicked. And now I know that Billy doesn't mean it in a negative way or anything, but I can sense her heavy sense of responsibility towards Jer. Sometimes in the past for Conrad too, but Conrad's mostly fine. But with Billy and Jer now, it's like she told him that things would be different and that she wouldn't hurt him, so she's really trying, like she's sticking to that. Laurel even tells her that it's her first year of uni back in the first year, and that even though she loves Jer, she shouldn't let that hold her back from exploring herself and other things and enjoying uni. Anyway, in the present, 3 years into their relationship, Jer's meant to be graduating, and Billy tells him that pretty soon they won't be able to do this anymore, like have dorm sleepovers. Only Jer does not end up graduating on account of having changed his major and not properly reading an email telling him that he needed to take different courses. Anyway, he'll have to repeat the semester, and his dad is really disappointed in him, telling him that Jer owes him the $20,000 he'll have to pay for this extra semester. Jer's pretty down all episode, and he doesn't want to go to this dinner with Billy, and he just wants to be alone. Look, I won't fault him for this, but again, Billy has to hold back her own really good news to share to spare Jer's feelings in the moment. And her good news is that she just got into a study abroad program in Paris, but how's she going to tell Jer when he's pretty depressed right now about his failing situation? Anyway, Billy even has doubts about going to Paris at all, but at some point Taylor's like, don't you even dare. And to be fair to Jer, when she does tell him, he also encourages her to go to Paris because he knows how much this program had meant to Belly. And I'm glad that he didn't make it about him, but I don't know, guys, did this feel too easy to anybody else? And am I kind of toxic for thinking that? I mean, it got me thinking about that scene in Normal People where Connell is about to go to New York and he and Marianne are going to have to say goodbye to one another at some point. I was utterly gutted for them. And even though Marianne had, the same reaction to Connell that Jer had to Belly, like as in, you need to go, you need to do this, the latter didn't really have that much of an emotional impact on me. Now, I know these are different styles of shows, and even though the characters are around the same age, Belly and Jer seem younger and they cater maybe to a younger audience, but still, Belly was having second thoughts about going, and Jer just doesn't miss a beat. He's like, yeah, no, you should go. It's possible that I'm looking for problems where there are none. Not to mention that I didn't get the sense that Belly didn't want to go because she loved Jer and just wanted to be with him. It's like that she couldn't leave him in a way, and she kind of says as much later on, but she does also say that she loves him. These two tell each other that they love each other a lot. Anyway, we get a scene of them on a stroll and we find out that Belly hurt her knee, so she's no longer playing volleyball, but she does study sports psychology now, and it's the injury that kind of led to that. And again, there's this weird tension there between them. So there's this kind of random storyline about a memorial garden for Susanna, and the brothers, Conrad and Jeremiah, are meant to be doing the speech for it, but Conrad is pretty busy in California, and Jer is, I think he's bummed about, failing out or something, or having to repeat a semester. And so the responsibility of the speech kind of bounces back and forth between the brothers. Speaking of Conrad, he seems to be doing his own thing. He's in therapy, but he's not in any kind of crisis. He seems to actually, I won't say that he's enjoying life in California, because, he's getting on with it, but he looks deeply unhappy and kind of lonely too. And he does say that things have been good with Jer, but he's feeling anxious about going back to cousins, and he avoids talking about Belly with one of his friends. He can't even say her name, but yeah, he's definitely thinking about her. He gets into some really sought-after summer clinic job as well that he's really wanted, and he's happy about that because it's something that he's wanted, but his whole vibe is a little bit going through the motions, It's not New Moon Bella level, but yeah. Anyway, Shane, he's trying though, I'll give him that. So Conrad's ex is now his best friend, and she asks him if he's ever been in love, and he says yes, once. She asks, how was it being around them, Belly and Jeremiah? And Conrad says, yeah, one summer when they were on the beach all together, he saw them try to downplay it. Well, it was mostly Belly who was downplaying it, but he could see that they were so happy together, and, that's when he knew that he could never be alone with Belly because he wouldn't be able to hold back that he still loved her. By the way, Conrad looked really cute with his cap on and the hair out of his face. I don't know why they always have the hair out of his face. Anyway, this girl, this ex, who's now his friend, she admits, by the way, that she kind of pushed for a relationship in the beginning with Conrad, and I guess they tried to date, but things didn't really work out, and she's a really good sport about everything, so I don't think she's going to sabotage or anything or declare a love for him, but I'm pretty sure there's still some lingering feelings there, and they would be dating if it were up to her. And who wouldn't have a lingering crush on Conrad? His introversion and sad emotional unavailability, it's all very sensitive and not unattractive, you know what I mean? Just saying. And in any case, Conrad has really good character. He's a good guy. But anyway, Belly's the only one for him, and she knows that. By the way, at one point, Belly is wearing Jer's sweatshirt with his phone in the pocket when Conrad calls, and it's so awkward. They kind of brush over Belly's reactions when Conrad is involved, but you see, this fleeting look. It's not like, oh my God, I'm so in love and I have to hide it, but it's like this slightly vague discomfort kind of feeling that she knows. It's kind of wrong. So the siblings, Stephen and Belly, have dinner together and they both talk about their love lives. Stephen's is in shambles, obviously, and he knows it. And he's a bit critical of Jer, and he takes the dad's side, saying well, yeah, Adam's on the hook for $20,000 because Jer forgot to read an email. What do you expect? Jer is kind of unserious sometimes. Belly admits that she knows that, that's how Jer is, and he smokes a bit too much weed, and she mentions other minor things that annoy her, but she says, ultimately, those things don't matter. Yeah, right, Belly. We also find out that Belly's not a big fan of Jer being in a frat and his frat guys, so socially, it's kind of an issue, even though, of course, it's Belly, so she doesn't make it a big deal. After dinner, Belly meets Jer at a party, and she's talking to these girls that Jeremiah knows as well, but he keeps pulling her away. He doesn't want her to talk to them. and it's very obvious that he has something to hide. In the bathroom later at the same party, Belly overhears these girls saying that one of them hooked up with Jer in Cabo, and she's really distraught. She confronts him and he says that they were on a break at the time. Belly's like, no, we weren't on a break, we just had a fight, but we were still together and we weren't broken up. Anyway, she tells him, you broke everything and I'll never trust you again. Like, we're done. I mean, they do announce later on in the season that they're going to get married based on the trailer, so they're not done. But, like, is it kind of cruel that the first thing I thought here was like, oh, thank goodness, now at least Belly has a reason to break up with him. But also that this is a bit of a cop-out having Jared cheat, because, you know, for some reason it can't come from Belly's side again. He had to be the one to ruin it. Although I don't think that this is wildly out of character for Jeremiah either. Remember how he was hooking up with like everybody in season 1? I mean, I know he was single and exploring his bisexual options and having a good time, but like if there's anyone who's going to hook up at a party, it's Jeremiah. Also, in his defense, because I can't seem to make up my mind, they were technically broken up and people act out when they're heartbroken, and I guess we're going to see his side of things, but I think he did it out of heartbreak and loneliness, and the girl was just there. But I don't know, even that breakup scene when we eventually do see it, like the words came too quickly to Jer. I don't know if he's all in on this relationship either. I can't tell. Anyway, Jeremiah does say that this thing with this girl didn't mean anything to him, which is not the thing to say to somebody like Belly, who doesn't do meaningless hookups. That like makes things worse, actually. So yeah, that's the end of episode 1. Episode 2 was kind of a wild ride. So much happened, which is kind of nice because this show is so guilty of filler episodes. So we see that Jay was very close to admitting the Cabo cheating mistake, but he didn't, and then he and Belly ended up getting back together, or according to Belly, they were never broken up in the first place. What annoyed me here so much was that Jer kind of ghosted her for a few days, and then even when he got back, Belly was the one who sought him out and was like, hello, Jer, I'm here. Oh, Belly girl. Anyway, she's telling him that she loves him, and maybe there's just a comfort aspect to the relationship that she's not ready to let go of, because yikes. But yeah, in her defense, like, she didn't know that he cheated, not yet anyway, so she's just, you know, going to patch things up with her boyfriend after a fight. Jer brings her some seashell bracelet thing from Cabo, and even the way he gives it to her is just like, he's like, yeah, I got this for you, it's, you know, it's silly or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, Jer, it is. I don't mind the gift itself, but it was this whole sheepish attitude when he was giving it to her. It just kind of feels a bit meaningless, passionless. And look, I know we can't compare it to the Infinity Necklace, but I'm comparing it to the Infinity Necklace. I'm so curious to hear from the hardcore Jelly fans, is this satisfying to you, this romance? Anyway, the couple make up. Because Steven can only bluff for so long, and I love that about him, he comes back to pick Taylor up, and in the car, he tells her that he broke up with Mia and he wants to be with Taylor. This is it for him. He has his cards on the table. Taylor has an absolute conniption telling him that no, they agreed to be friends with benefits. They can't be together. She screeches at him, like yells at him. She's almost having a panic attack to pull over. And she gets out of the car, and that's when Steven gets into an accident that has him in an induced coma. And that's finally, obviously, when Taylor comes to her senses, when she realizes that she's wasting time and she's going to lose the guy that she loves. She admits to a comatose Steven that it's really difficult for her to stop pushing him away, but it's a way of protecting herself. She's terrified of getting hurt, but this is her wake-up call. She's never loved anyone the way she loves Steven. Can I just say that this whole hospital ordeal was there was just some really bad acting. I don't know, in general, I don't think that the actress who plays Belly is the strongest crier, because I sometimes want to laugh during her crying scenes, I'm sorry. And I have the same feeling with Jer as well. I can't handle the fake crying face that he makes. I cringe so much. Funnily enough, I was just rewatching Never Have I Ever, and I had the opposite reaction to whenever Davy cried. I just wanted to cry. It broke my heart so much. Anyway, at some point before the accident, Taylor tells Jer off for the cheating, and she tells him like she was rooting for him and he was supposed to be the ideal, but he cheated in Cabo and brought back a silly trinket for Belly. He needs to get out of here. And, you know, even though Taylor's love life is also in a shambles, she's always really good at looking out for Belly, and she gives really solid advice, actually. So when Steven finally wakes up, Taylor's all ready to finally make an honest go out of them, but he's like, you know what, Taylor, you were right about what you said in the car. We're no good together. He just crushes her heart in that moment, but, like, Taylor, what did you expect? Did you think that Stephen was going to chase you forever? And there are moments when she treats him kind of like she's just, doing him a favor in a way. I know that it's kind of their dynamic, but it was actually getting old kind of fast. And when she snootily said, well, I'm hungry, and he's doing his best to be like, oh, where do you want to get food or whatever, I was so mad at her because, can you not just be sincere and normal for once and just kind of appreciative for once? Even when Stephen wakes up, she jokes about him being dramatic. And he's like, I was in a coma. And she responds, yeah, and medical induced one. Like, girl, read the room. Those moments in the car and when he woke up, you know what I kind of thought? I thought, you know what, Stephen deserves better than this, better than her. And it sucks because I really liked them together. I don't know if there's a way back for them, but I am excited to see it. I mean, we're in the gutter now, so it can only get better for the two of them. She's got a little bit of growing up to do, and I don't know, I think there's more than just her not wanting to get hurt. I think she needs to love herself a little bit more and believe that she's worthy of a guy like Stephen and that he wouldn't hurt her. All these other jocks that she dates, it's easy to be, kind of all in with them because I think she ultimately knows that none of them have been a true love match for her. Not in the way that Stephen is. I feel like what she said to Jeremiah, that he's the ideal. I think for her, Stephen, even though you don't really expect it, he's the ideal for her as well. So I do get that she's scared of, going all in and ruining it. But girl, come on, we're rooting for you. All that to say, I approve of this breakup for now. Ooh, and then a little bit of gossip. Good gossip too. We find out that Conrad and Belly spent time together at the cousin's house alone one Christmas. His flight was delayed and Belly was feeling lonely at home, so they both ended up there. And you guys, you know that tension and anxiety that I feel with Belly and Jer? Well, there's none of that with Conrad. Also, you know how she's always kind of looking after Jer in a way? It reminded me of her relationship with Conrad while Savannah was sick. She was always, just making sure that Conrad was okay, which any good girlfriend would do. Anyway, she has that dynamic with Jer. She coddles him a little bit. She's more her own person with Conrad, and she's not always worried about him. So their dynamic is immediately better. He's so gentle with her, and they laugh, and, we see this montage of them and their cozy days together. It's perfect. They're just so comfortable around each other. And even when there are those slightly awkward moments where they both silently connect over a memory, even that is just so good. Then Jer calls Belly and he breaks the spell. And by the next morning, Conrad is gone. But I really enjoyed their scenes together so much. I'm not a big fan of author inserts. I'm talking about you, Stephanie Myers. But I thought there was a cute one this episode. On the crossword that Conrad was doing, one of the clues was the missing word from a title of a Jenny Han novel. Called P.S. I Still Love You. And Betty guesses the clue, the word is still. It's very cute because, obviously she still loves Conrad. By the way, P.S. I Still Love You is the third to All the Boys I've Loved Before book. And those movies are so rewatchable. Anyway, so Betty even admits to herself around this time that she realized that she will always love Conrad. But she's not there yet, as in leave Jer and run off with Conrad there. So Laurel and the kid's dad kind of end up spending the night together with their phones off, and as a result, they miss all of the calls about Stephen being in the hospital. I mean, I'll allow this. The kid's dad seems fine, but Laura's probably going to have a little bit of a breakdown over this because she's talking about their ex and it caused her to miss her son being in hospital, and you could tell that she just didn't want him to touch her in that moment. So at the end of episode 2, Billy decides to forgive Jer for the cheating, and they officially get back together. And that's when Jer asks her to marry him. Anyway, Shane, these two are so misguided, and even their getting back together wasn't really that, emotional or anything. Belly says that, they shouldn't let this one mistake define them and maybe they can start over, and Jeremiah is just very grateful, but I don't know. Also, it's ironic that on Conrad's crossword, one of the clues was hammy, and that's the perfect way to describe Jer's acting this episode. Before, he was really cute and playful as Jer, but I feel like he does not have the emotional range for this really dramatic, serious acting. I'm so sorry. I laughed a lot during this scene. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Stephen and his senior associate, the co-worker, there's definitely a vibe there, right? I think I hate it, but I'm not sure. Let's see how this plays out. Also, Conrad had pulled some strings from Stanford to make sure that Stephen gets good care and that Belly and the family are all informed about his progress. But because of this, he was being a little bit absent-minded and worried, and he made quite a big mistake. And of course, he gets kicked out of the program. I guess this frees him up to go to Cousins over the summer. Anyway, that is it for episodes 1 and 2 of season 3. Lots of trendy music this episode. And you know what? As the credits rolled in episode 2, I heard a song and it kind of stopped me in my tracks. I was like, oh, that's nice. And who was it? Benson Boone. I've been seeing this man's backflips all over the internet and hearing his name everywhere. I've never heard a song by him before, but I don't care if I'm late and if it's basic. I love him. I love that song. So yeah, how did you guys feel about the first 2 episodes? Jelly and book fans, did the romance live up to your expectations? Please feel free to share your thoughts, and thank you for watching.